Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Sarah Waggle. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, for leaving comments, liking, and all of the things. Please feel free to share these videos. I will be doing the chapters again for this video, so I think you can share like links to specific sun and rising signs. So we're going to be talking about the Gemini new moon and other things. I'm kind of taking a very zoomed out approach on this because I feel like there's a lot of Gemini-ish history and cycle history recently, and upcoming stuff that's going on, the upcoming transits that are going on. So if you're new to my channel, I'm Sarah Waggle. I use tools such as astrology, energy work, leadership coaching tools to support people in stepping into their whatever they want their life to look like. I'm one of those people who appreciates effortless joy. And so whatever that looks like for you. Also, the link is below in the description. If you would like a one-to-one, you can do a virtual like Zoom reading, or you can get a written report where I look at your natal chart and send you dates and transits that might might heavily affect you in your life. So for example, if you're in your Saturn return, maybe you're in your Uranus opposition, that also could be contributing to how you are moving through this wild year of transits. This 2023 year has not disappointed. It's been a ride. What I will say is that the one thing I'm noticing is as we get closer to the midpoint of this year, which I believe is June 21st, that I am really starting to see the effect of Saturn in Pisces, where people who, maybe you're still dealing with some heavy wounding, inner wounding, are starting to see kind of the mental stability be questionable. Okay, we'll go with that. And others who I can tell took the first part of this year to really dig in heavily and do some deep inner healing work. So I'm really starting to see how that's playing out and all that. Remember that in all of this, we do have Neptune in Pisces squaring the galactic center in 27 Sagittarius. We also have Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is Chronos, so it is the ruler of time, and therefore, like obviously, the illusion of time is getting very clear. But Neptune is all about illusions and things like that. It rules media and the illusion of media, the illusions that we, create with kind of the rose-colored or beer goggles on. And whatnot. So I'm going to talk about the Gemini new moon transit surrounding it, and then kind of take a zoomed out approach with the sun rising signs. So feel free to tune in. I appreciate you guys so much. Okay, let me get. Oop. There we go. All right. So overview, reflect on what you've learned anywhere from the last 10 months to 2 years. And why I say 10 months is because this Gemini new moon is happening at the same degree that Mars went retrograde in Gemini in October, the end of October of 2022. So we have that going on. And then, of course, it wasn't that long ago. It would have been from May, I believe, of 2021 through January of 2022 that the North Node was in Gemini. And so it was either 20 or 2021. And I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but either way, the North Node was in Gemini. Then we had that Mars retrograde in Gemini at the end of 2022 into 2023. So we've had a lot of activity around Gemini. Of course, now, like, the good news is that while we're having this new moon, Mercury is at home in Gemini. So we do have that going on. So really take some time to journal and reflect on what you've learned over the past couple of years with all of this Gemini activity. and what has come up for you, or what has been revealed to you around the areas of your life that have been most affected. Of course, if you have Gemini placements, you're most affected by it. And the rest of us are just experiencing it because it is part of our natal chart. There are videos on my YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel and you go to the videos tab, there are videos for each of the sun rising signs for that Mars stint in Gemini, including the retrograde. So if you want to check out some early videos when I had some really bad internet, you can check those videos out. I was actually looking at the Scorpio one today, and I was like, oh, back in the day when I didn't have very good internet. We had to switch our internet, and we finally got that done in January of this year. So the retrogrades are going to kind of inhibit or sort of slow things down. Of course, we have already had Mercury go retrograde, and then of course direct, and we are currently in Pluto retrograde. And just before this full moon peaks, new moon peaks, Saturn is going to go retrograde, and then towards the end of the month we will have Neptune go retrograde, and then Venus is going to go retrograde. It's literally a domino effect. So be aware that the retrogrades will happen. It doesn't mean don't move forward. It just means that there may be some pullback, or some like sit back and think about it for a second. Are you sure you really want to do that? Definitely when Venus is retrograde, I've always heard like don't cut your hair, don't do drastic changes, things like that. Okay, unhealed inner child wounds combined with Saturn and Neptune and Pisces may be creating cloudy vision. So like I just said, this may have you have some rose-colored goggles on, thinking everything's fine, I'm fine. Even though to the rest of the world, you're showing up and you're clearly not fine. And so, also, if you do notice that people are very mentally unstable, be a friend, be that family member who helps and supports, and reaches out if you feel like somebody does need to be supported around mental illness. Saturn and Pisces, it is very common for mental illness to occur, questionable mental states to occur. And I'm absolutely serious that it could be a very serious issue as we move through. And think about it, we have got a lot going on in the world around us, and a lot of rapid change happening very quickly. And so zero doubt, please pay attention to those around you. Pay attention to yourself. If somebody's, pointing it out to you that, hey dude, hey dudette, you're not showing up the way we, if they're showing up completely out of character, could be a very good time to address some mental health situations. And so that's to be expected with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. We have that until 2026. So okay, so transits around this new moon and beyond. Of course, we're in Pluto retrograde back in Capricorn on the 17th through November 4th, Saturn retrograde in Pisces. The 11th through the 26th of June is Mercury in Gemini. It is only there for about 2 weeks. So it's going to fly through Gemini very quickly. 6/19, Venus enters its shadow. This is really the of the personal planets, Venus is the one to really pay attention to. It's going to be in Leo. It started out there on when did it enter? Earlier this month, and the date is not coming to me, but it is there until October 8th of this year. That is a long time, similar to Mars having been in Gemini for all that time. So it's going to retrograde on July 22nd. I thought it was the 23rd, and I might have just miswrote it. And so July is going to be gonna be fireworks, that's for sure. June 3rd through December 6th, Neptune's going to go retrograde. July 17th, the nodes move to North Node in Aries and South Node in Libra. I think I mixed that up on my last video, and it really got at me. So July is going to bring changes, and they're talking like June is sort of the build-up month, but June is the month where we kind of, like I said, we're going to get to reflect on what all we've gotten out of all of these Gemini transits. So here we have the chart of this new moon in Gemini. Of course, it's square Neptune at 27 degrees Pisces. We also have a Venus. I think it's aspecting Uranus or Jupiter. Not quite sure. But new moon in Gemini. Mercury is, of course, at home in Gemini. Maybe that's a cushion. I don't know. But be very aware as you're setting intentions, as you're reflecting of the potential for cloudy vision, of the potential to not see things clearly with it being square to Neptune, as it were. Did my slide? Oh, there we go. Okay, so 26 and some change, close enough to 27. But I didn't put 27 because it's 26:43. Those are geometric minutes. But 26 degrees Gemini, squaring Neptune. Of course, be aware of beer goggles, be aware of rose-colored goggles, be aware of cloudy goggles as you are sifting through information. Same degree as Mars went retrograde back on October 31 of 2022. Ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is at home for this. So there's all that. Feels like there was something else I was going to say about this. I think, like I said, I really feel like, and as I move into the sun signs, of course, you can skip ahead to those that apply to you. But it really feels like take a moment and really reflect back on the last couple of years, right? Like I said, we had the nodes, the North Node in Gemini a couple of years ago, right before the nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio, they were in Gemini, Sagittarius. So we had that going on. We had the Mars retrograde. We have had, we've had eclipses, of course, with the nodes. And so something has been surfacing around this Gemini placement in your natal chart. And this is a moment where it's going to be that opportunity to really dive in and see what was the universe trying to show me? What was the thing the universe was trying to get me to see in all of this? And if you want to watch the Scorpio one, that's when I'll talk more about mine, because I'm a Scorpio rising. Okay. All right. So again, it's chapter by chapter. So if you want to skip ahead and get to yours, feel free to do so. But here we go. Aries, sun and rising. So this is going to be in the new moon will be in your third house. Of course, we have Jupiter and Uranus in the second house. We have Venus and Mars in the fifth house, and Pluto has just retrograded back to your 10th house. And so it's a matter of reflecting what has been revealed and learned about communication, mindset, and neighbors. Is it neighbors on this one? I can never remember. Neighbors that you can bring with you to your worth, your value, your inner child, your creativity, and your work and your goals. Spirituality, why did I? Oh, I wrote the wrong thing. My bad. 10th house. Because Pluto's in Capricorn. I wrote 10th house and wrote the characteristics for 12th house. So my bad completely. So I apologize, Aries. But 10th house is work and goals. So you've got this in your third house. So third house is neighbors. It's local travel. It is communication, specifically written communication. And then, of course, you've got Jupiter and Uranus in your second house of self-worth, money, your values, how you value yourself, and all of that. And then the fifth house is your creativity. It's children. It's also inner child wounding. and whatnot. So it's a place to look and see what you have changed your mindset around your inner child wounds. How have you changed your mindset about your self-worth, your money situation, and whatnot? How have you changed your mindset around your work and your career goals? What's shifted there? How have you improved your communication maybe with your children? How have you improved your ability to set boundaries to honor your self-worth and your values? Maybe you've learned to communicate better about finances specifically. Maybe you've learned to communicate better with your boss or your coworkers, or how you want your goals to go, and you've learned to write them down. Maybe you learned to communicate them with others and whatnot. So some places to look there, Aries, with this new moon, and setting intentions towards, okay, now that I know how to do that, or I've learned that I've had that revelation, the intentions can be around how you will continue to uphold those boundaries, that relationship with your children, or uphold your career goals, or your work related goals. And this could be around achievements too. I always can think of 10th house as work. I'm not a huge fan of Capricorn. It seems like work to me. But it could be around achievement, your public appearance, as your public appearance, as in, like, if you have a goal to, be in the spotlight publicly, with awards and things like that. That's Capricorn. I just think of it as work. I'm an Aquarius sun, so there's that. So that's it, Aries. So set some intentions around communication. Maybe it's local travel to earn money, local travel to visit your children, or local travel to work with a practitioner on your inner childhood wounds. Or maybe it's local travel to, work towards an award or an achievement. So that's Aries. Taurus. All right, Taurus. Taurus, sun and rising. This new moon is in your second house. We have Jupiter, Uranus, of course, in your first house, Mars and Venus in your fourth house, and Pluto back in your ninth house. So you had a lot around your outer appearance with Jupiter and Uranus hanging out there. Of course, these are social planets. Jupiter and Uranus are social planets. Mars and Venus are personal planets. And the new moon is ruled by Mercury, which is also a personal planet. So second house is your self-worth, it's money, it's your value, how you value yourself, it's sensuality, things like that. And so what has been revealed to you about your self-worth, your money situations, your values of yourself, and how can you now bring that to your appearance, how you show up for the world, how you present yourself? Maybe it's going to show up in your home situation, or your emotional intelligence, your maternal. Maybe you're a mom and you're going to be like a more creative mom, and accessing resources, value, in order to be a more creative mom, or to be a more maternal figure. Maybe you're swapping roles and becoming a maternal figure for your mom. It could be that. It could be, like I said, it could be creativity, your worth around your maintaining your emotional intelligence. Ninth house is expanding your belief systems. It's long distance travel, religion, things like that. So maybe you're going to stand your ground on how you feel about your belief systems. Maybe you're going to give money to, or you're going to discover the worth of you investing money into your higher education, your philosophical education. Perhaps you're going back to school, and maybe you've been a stay-at-home mom, but you're like, I want some education. I want to earn my bachelor's, master's, my PhD, the certification, the licensure, to practice the thing that I truly want to practice, which would be expansive with Jupiter in your appearance. something like that. So all kinds of possibilities, but think back what you have learned in the area of your self-worth, your value, your money, your just how you, what you have, right? Possessions, Venetian qualities, in that second house, and bring those characteristics to your appearance, your home, and emotional intelligence, and expanding yourself in higher education. So that's for you, Taurus. Yes, I did write the little blurb here as more of a reminder and a guidance. This is only an example, but the houses obviously have multiple archetypes and characteristics. So that's Taurus. All right, Gemini, sun and rising. Gemini, this one's going to hit you. This is in your first house. The new moon's obviously in your first house, of appearance and how you show up in the world. Jupiter and Uranus are in your 12th house. Mars and Venus are in your 3rd house, and Pluto is back in your 8th house. So my goodness, you are transforming your appearance. You've brought something from your first house, and how you present yourself, how the world sees you, how you show up in the world, your attire, your hair, maybe it's your weight, maybe you've had some weight loss, maybe you've had some augmentation surgery, maybe it's been some weight loss surgery, maybe you're getting your makeup done more frequently, more regularly. How you show up in the world, and how you can, and now what you've learned from your appearance, or from the transformation of your appearance, and how that affects your spirituality, how that affects your karmic endings. Maybe you are ending a cycle. Maybe you've had a career for a long time and it's time to end it and move to something else. How that is affecting your communication, your relationship with your neighbors, your relationship with local travel, how you're bringing creativity to those situations, to your communication. And then, of course, your 8th house of intimate emergings, like financial, marital, and whatnot. And to me, that Pluto is the 8th house, right? 8th house is Scorpionic, and Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. And so, to have this hitting your 12th and your 8th house, with your appearance, you could be the most highly affected or changed by this new moon. So set your intentions around what changing your appearance, or what you've learned about your appearance. Maybe you've learned something about how people perceive you, and it's opened the opportunity for you to make changes in your appearance to show up differently in the world, and that's going to affect your intimate relationships. Not saying there will be divorces, but the nodes are getting close to Aries and Libra. So there are breakups definitely going to happen with all of the Venus, Mars and Leo, with the nodes moving, and you having sort of a spiritual, karmic transformation through the last few years between the nodes, or the North Node Gemini and Mars in Gemini. So lots of things, pivotal things happening for you as we approach this new moon and beyond, Gemini. Use the swallows. Okay, Cancer. Cancer, this new moon is going to be in your 12th house of karmic endings, spirituality, that sort of thing. You have Jupiter and Venus, or excuse me, Jupiter and Uranus rather, in your 11th house of groups, communities, technology, that sort of thing. You've got Venus and Mars in your 2nd house of self-worth, values, money, that sort of thing. And you've got Pluto back in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, and those sorts of things. So what have you learned in your 12th house? 12th house is typically one of the hardest houses in the zodiac. It's Piscean themed. It's karma, it's spirituality. It can be duality, as in the heaven and the earth. And so it can bring up a lot of karmic lessons, karmic endings. Maybe like you're repeating a karmic cycle with relationships. So if you've maybe had a relationship that's reminded you of one from your past, this would be a karmic loop that is here to show you and demonstrate that it is time to break the damn cycle. Or maybe it's a good karma and you like it and you want to stay in it. So there's that. 11th house is community, it's groups, it's technology. So maybe you have learned that you actually like technology in a different way than you thought. Maybe you found something fun to expand your knowledge of technology. Maybe you have found a group or community that you enjoy and you want to expand that, and you've had this karmic loop bring you realizations to bring something new to that community or group. You've learned something about creativity and your self-worth. Venus and Mars in Leo is creativity. And it's around your self-worth, your money. Maybe you want to take a vacation. Maybe you want to do something more artistic with your money. Maybe you want to have more fun in relationships and use your money to have more fun with a partner or a community, maybe your family. So lots of stuff has come up for you about a karmic loop or a karmic cycle. Again, it seems like Cancer has been repeating something, and it's time to break that shit up. It being in your 12th house. I 12th house, 11th house, Pluto in the 7th. Again, I would really watch out for those illusions. Like what you think you're experiencing is a good thing could be like a negative karmic loop you're stuck in with that Neptune Pisces scenario, Neptune Saturn Pisces scenario. So I mean, I don't want to neglect that either, in that, it may not all be sunshine and rainbows, and you may have to come to a realization that you're repeating a loop you don't want to repeat. So what have you learned, Cancers? What are you ready to shift and change? Because let me just tell you, Cancer, you are a cardinal sign. Those nodes are going to be squaring you very soon, within the next month. So that's Cancer. All right, Leo. All right, Leo. New moon in your 11th house of groups, communities, technology. You've got Jupiter, Uranus in your 10th house of work, goals, achievements, that kind of thing. You've got Mars and Venus in your first house, and Pluto is now back in your 6th house of daily routines, daily habits, health habits, those sorts of things. So what have you learned about how you show up in groups or communities? Specifically those perhaps related to work and goals and things like that. Feels like there might be a common pattern, common denominator, but could be that you've learned that you do better functioning as a loner. You definitely are learning something with Pluto back in your 6th house. You're learning something about transforming your daily routine or your health routine, or maybe you're just developing some different health habits, perhaps with nutrition or drinking more water, or taking time to work on your spiritual health. Granted, this is 6th house is typically about physical health and daily routines, but doesn't have to be limited to that. Also, there could be something here with your Mars and Venus in your first house. It's how you show up. So how you show up to your daily routines related to work, goals, and achievements, and using communities and groups. I think the full moon in Sag. You can go back and look, but there was something in your 5th house about inner child, maybe Sagittarius. Sagittarius would be your 5th house. Yeah. And so I feel like something's trying to emerge for you that's wanting to be healed, so that you can be more in alignment with groups and communities, and technology and your work environment and your daily routines. But Leo, you're a stubborn lion sometimes, and you cut off your nose to spite your face. But I definitely feel like there could be some work still to do, like you're resisting or fighting the routine, or you know, that it's time to grow up in order to have that career be expanded. That you're, you know, that there's still some work to do around that. That could be your Neptune, Saturn, Pisces scenario, is that, you know, in order to have a good, healthy routine, or work habit, you know, work schedule, you do need to have a group. You do need to have that be a part of your environment. Maybe you've been trying to do it all alone, or it's been just a common scenario that you've been doing it alone. So maybe it's an opportunity to check and see who's a part of your group, who's not supporting it happening, and you kind of keep having to change out the people. So who knows? There's a number of scenarios here. First house, though, being Venus and Mars. Leo's about to shine. Okay. Venus is beauty, it's feminine. Mars is masculine. And so you got some Leos that are about to sit pretty all summer with these two planets in their first house of their appearance and how they show up and how they're seen by the world. So even if Leos are wearing some beer goggles or some rose-colored goggles, they're going to show up looking pretty. They're going to show up looking gorgeous. Hot girl summer, hot boy summer, all of those sorts of things are going to be happening but don't neglect the work, the community, and the daily habits. Because in order to maintain that hot girl summer, that hot boy summer, you got to have some good, healthy habits in play. So that's Leo for you. All right, Virgo sun, Virgo rising, new moon in your 10th house of work, goals, achievements, that sort of thing. Jupiter and Uranus in the 9th house of expanding your belief systems, long distance travel, going back, you know, potentially, you know, going back to school, upping your education. Of course, Mars and Venus in your 12th house of spirituality, karmic endings, duality, heaven and earth. And then Pluto is now back in your 5th house, transforming that inner child, transforming that childlike self of yours, creativity, all of those sorts of things. And because it's back in Capricorn, which is your 5th house, it's back to the house, or the Capricorn's the ruler of the 10th house. And so it is something related to your work, your achievements, and whatnot that has to do with your creativity, your expression of your creativity, your inner child's expression of their creativity. It also could be around your inner child wounding that's unhealed, that could be affecting how you show up in your career. And so things like that, that could be affected here. And then, of course, you've got the expansion, Jupiter and Uranus, amplifying and disrupting, therefore changing your belief systems, changing your, you know, maybe it's, like I said, maybe it's going back to school, maybe it's just expanding, maybe it's traveling. All of those themes come along with that 9th house. Mars and Venus in your 12th house. Trying to feel into that a little bit. Mars and Venus in the 12th in Leo. You could very well feel like something's not beautiful about you because of who knows, like that you feel unpretty. The TLC song just came in my head. You feel unpretty, you feel like it almost feels like had God made you a different way, you'd have a better life. And that's something to really work through. That feels like a big, deep karmic pattern to work yourself through. But you definitely have some uncertainty around how your life has gone, the hand of life that you have been dealt, which could explain that fifth house, 10th house connection, right? This 12th house could be the key or the explanation of what's keeping you from having the career that you want, or the awards, or the acknowledgement that you want. That's pretty damn deep. So something to be aware of there, Virgo. Yeah, that's a deep one. That's all I got for that. I feel like that's a really bad place to stop. But it does feel like there's something here around Venus, which is beauty, Mars, which is masculine, and sort of almost warlike energy, that you're feeling like with that 12th house that you got dealt a karmic situation that, if I didn't have to deal with this, my life would be so much easier, which could be affecting your inner child and inner child wounding, which could then be subsequently affecting your 9th and 10th houses of expansion and achievement. So, something to think about there, Virgo. Okay, Libra. Libra sun and Libra rising. New moon in your 9th house. Of course, we have Jupiter and Uranus in your 8th house. We have Venus and Mars in your 11th house, and Pluto is back in your 4th house. I shouldn't do that. It'll probably rest right on that microphone. So I apologize. Okay, 9th house is expansion, belief systems, higher education, long distance travel. 8th house is intimate mergings with regards to financial or intimate partner relationships. 11th house is groups, communities, technology, and 4th house is home, emotional intelligence, maternal, those sorts of things. So what have you gathered from your 9th house, from maybe you've had some long distance travel, maybe you have had some higher education, perhaps you have shifted your beliefs about a belief system, a religion, a spiritual guru, something like that. Perhaps you have shifted that, so it's changing your intimate mergings with others, and it's changing how you interact or engage with groups, communities, maybe even technology. Maybe you're feeling like you need to go off grid to a commune group or something like that. Changing in your home, obviously, Pluto in your 4th house is shifting your home situation, or maybe your home is finally settling down, because this is Pluto's like last breath in the 4th house. Wait, why does that feel wrong? Libra? Oh, that's right. Okay. Just making sure I had the correct house because it felt a little off, but that's all right. So yeah, there's something coming up around merging. So Libra, you rule the 7th house, you rule relationships and partnerships, but the 8th house, which is your second house, in your, you know, from your sun or your rising, the second house would be a, you know, scorpionic themed, and Scorpio rules the 8th house. So there is something here about like you jumping into the later houses, right? 8, 9, 11 houses, and how that is affecting your home life. Maybe you are someone who's avoided creating a home life. You've avoided merging. You've avoided groups and communities. But, you know, now is kind of like you've had some realizations like, oh shit, maybe I do actually want that. And yeah, I've had the higher education, and, you know, I've had the cool job, and I've been maybe you've been the guru, the spiritual guru, but you've realized in all of that that you did not indeed build an intimate partnership or an intimate relationship. Maybe you didn't create a community in your home situation. You just sort of go to work and have your friends and hang out and you know, go do all the things, but you're like, oh yeah, I don't actually know anybody in my local community, so if I need something, I'm a little screwed. Something like that. So there could be some kind of interesting realizations for you here, Libra, to really look at and pay attention to. So hope that's helpful. All right, Scorpio, sun and rising. The new moon is going to be in your 8th house, which is the house that you rule. We have Venus, or excuse me, Jupiter and Uranus in your 7th house, Venus and Mars in your 10th house, and Pluto back in your 3rd house of communication. So 8th house, this is your house. This is mergings, it's intimate relationships, it's business or financial mergings, things like that. And so how is that looking for your partnerships and relationships in general, and or your work, your public appearance, your career goals, your achievements, and then of course your communication, writing, your neighbors, short-term travel, all of those short distance travel rather, all of those sorts of things. So let me just share with you a hint. I don't want to share it all, but I will share how this kind of showed up for me. And I just kind of realization hit me the other day. That Mars retrograde was like a sucker punch in my gut. I learned so much about some stuff that I really like. I had felt it. I had felt it in my gut, but I really was ignoring it because I thought it was going to be a benefit to me to be a part of a community. And of course, I'm an Aquarius sun, so community and groups is like my jam, man. And so there was a group I wanted to be a part of, a community I wanted to be a part of, but during the Mars retrograde, especially during Sag season, I started to get some realizations around this particular community, and still wanted to ignore them. But really I couldn't. The universe would not allow me to ignore them. And so I had to face it. And I felt a lot of very deep betrayal. I felt a lot of very deep disappointment. But what I can tell you is I learned a lot about my gut, and how my gut responds. So anytime I would interact with members of this community, I like felt this uneasiness in my gut. And I thought it was because it was out of my comfort zone, and it was like out of my, I don't want to say jurisdiction, but like like I needed to grow into it. Right. But what I've come to realize is that I actually saw things that I now know that community is not in alignment with me. And ever since I started to distance myself from that community, I don't have that feeling in my gut. And as I am entering or working with a new community, as a practitioner, astrologer, energy worker, coach, and all of that, I don't have that feeling in my gut anymore. So if you, and it's interesting because I went back and listened to the Scorpio, Mars in Gemini video that I recorded back in September. And it talked about paying attention to your digestive system. And I had no idea at the time that I was going to get that realization. But what I have come out knowing is that I bring a lot to this work that I do as a practitioner, as an energy worker. My astrology may not be like on point 100% of the time. It may not be the most detailed astrology, but I don't need to be the detailed astrologer because my work is way beyond, it's not limited to astrology. And so there's that. So that's been my Scorpio experience with the 8th house of mergings and relationships and partnerships, and seeing some clarity around work, my achievements, my own accomplishments and things like that. I bring a lot to the table. I've been working through personal development stuff for over a decade, since I started in the coaching industry, and then I became a coach. I have my leadership coach certification. And then, of course, I went into spiritual work and Reiki and energy healing and working with the body and the connection there. And so it's been an opportunity for me to see myself from a very empowered, yet not arrogant, hopefully, angle. Hopefully I'm not arrogant. I definitely have a lot to learn. And I also did just buy another astrology course today, just because I wanted a different perspective on astrology from another astrologer. And I think that this astrologer that I just bought the course from has I don't want to say a better reputation, but I definitely like his style and how he presents more than previous astrologers that I have paid attention to. And so anyway, Scorpio rising, it's an opportunity to look at what relationships, what mergings are you open to, or are you seeing fully? Remember, Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces, illusions, seeing fully, that are leading to like creativity. Oh, this is another thing, is me being creative. I'm not, I mean, I am, but like, I don't know, I always feel like I'm being judged for it. So Venus in the 10th house, it's like, I feel like I'm the most boring when it comes to like creating creative content. And so Venus, Mars in the 10th house, if you do feel like you're, kind of a not so creative person, like now it might be a great time to get creative and see what it opens up for you with regards to, partnerships and relationships, as well as intimate mergings and relationships. Scorpio, you do have a great opportunity to develop romantic relationships with Venus in the 10th. Seems like you guys, your partner and you may be on the same sort of journey with regards to business or awards or achievements, and wanting deep mergings. Scorpios are actually very deep people. They seem very evil and very dark, and we have that too. But really, it's Scorpios see people on a much deeper level than most. Of course, Pluto in your 3rd house, communication, specifically written communication. So maybe this is the time to write a book. Maybe it's writing a children's book that's going to get things catapulting forward for you. Maybe it is, traveling short distances, neighbors, things like that. Maybe you're getting new neighbors. Maybe you're traveling. Maybe, you're me and becoming a digital nomad. And therefore your work is going to allow you to travel short distances and develop new relationships, and eventually lead you to that merging. See how I put that together? That's so cool. All right. I really want this to be good for Scorpios, because I think South Node Scorpio have been a very challenging 18 months. There you go, Scorpio. And thanks for indulging my own personal story there. All right, Sagittarius, sun and rising. Sagittarius, this is happening in your 7th house. The new moon is in your 7th. Jupiter, Uranus is in your 6th house. Venus, Mars is in your 9th house. And of course, Pluto's back in your 2nd house. So relationships, partnerships. And then, of course, you have 6th house of your work routines, health routines, and whatnot being expanded and highlighted. 9th house, which is your house, in with Venus and Mars. So your creativity is being expanded. Maybe your inner child's kicking in, like, let me show you some stuff about how to be creative, woman, or dude, however. Maybe it's higher education. Maybe you're acknowledging yourself for being a spiritual guru, or you're consulting a spiritual guru, or you're, like I said, higher education, philosophy, shifting something philosophical. Maybe you're developing relationships with people who are philosophical or who have a different sort of belief system or structure than you. And they're going to help you with your health. And then, of course, for the second house is your self-worth, your value, your money, and honestly, like allowing Pluto to transform how you see yourself with. And I realize this is your 6th house, but Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus, there to expand and broaden. Your relationships, your routines should enhance your health and well-being. They should enhance your belief systems, your travel. They should enhance you as a spiritual being. They should really enhance and bring light and bring joy, and make you feel valued and worthy for your gifts and talents. Sagittarius sun rising, you are the 9th house. You are the spiritual guru, and you have the capability to be. But if you are keeping around relationships that are not supportive and do not honor you and do not give you the value, 2nd house Pluto, that you deserve to continue to move yourself forward in your goals, then it's time to check, what illusions are you under with Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces that are keeping you from having relationships that do honor your time, that do honor you and show you gratitude for the work that you do in this world. So those are really good opportunities to set some intentions around shifting those relationships, shifting those partnerships, setting some goals for your health and how you can continue to improve your health. Maybe it's trying some new routines, trying some new, maybe more natural, holistic health type of supplements or implementations. Maybe it's changing your nutrition. Maybe it's just changing your work schedule. Like, you don't want to stay up late at night anymore because it's not serving, the relationships that you do want to implement, that do honor your worth, to allow you to continue to expand your creativity with regards to philosophies, belief systems, and travel, long distance travel. So I hope that's helpful, Sagittarius. All right, Capricorn. I'm sure Capricorns are quite happy right now to have Pluto back in their 1st house. But there we go. New moon in your 6th house of work habits, health habits, routines, daily habits, that sort of thing. Jupiter, Uranus in your 5th house of creativity, inner child, childlike, having children, that sort of thing. Venus and Mars in your 8th house of merging, financial and intimate mergings. And then, of course, Pluto is back in your transformative 1st house. Yay, lucky you. Okay, so you want to take a look at things surrounding your health, your daily routines, that's your work routines, that sort of thing. What's going on with this inner child that's being expanded or enhanced or amplified, disrupted by Jupiter, Uranus in your 5th house, that's affecting your daily work routines? This, of course, could be that you're being more creative in your daily routines. But I also tend to like to point out that the 5th house is not just like sunshine and rainbows, children and childhood. It's childhood wounds, inner child wounds as well, is sort of the darker side of that. But this could be heart-centered for sure. There are definitely positives to the 5th house. But whatever is occurring around your 5th house, whether you are having children, you're dealing with an inner child wound, or you're dealing with creativity or childlike playfulness, and you're bringing that to your routine. It's something around your routine, your work routine, something that's affecting it, whether it's the dark or the light. And then, of course, the 8th house is merging. Venus and Mars there, again, creativity, value, worth. What are you with the wrong person that's going to have kids with you? That's going to disrupt your daily routine. There was a guy in my area that just divorced his wife because he worked nights and his wife was a drug addict, and therefore he had to sacrifice all of his time to raise the children because she was off doing her thing. So merging. So it's a matter of, like, watch those the foggy goggles, the foggy vision here with regards to this situation, because you could be merging financially or intimately with someone out of a inner child wound, or something like that. You could also be merging with someone who has children, and you're going to have children together, and that's going to change your routine. That could be really positive. Your 1st house, if you are a woman and you are going to become pregnant, Jupiter in your 5th house, you're going to become pregnant. That'll change your appearance. Pluto in your 1st house. And of course, merging, it takes intimate merging to become pregnant, and that changes your routine. So there's that. But anyway, so there's a few different ways to look at that 1st house. Of course, the 8th house could be, mergings, financial merging. So maybe you're going to co-parent, and change your routine with co-parenting. So many options, so many ways this could go. Maybe you are taking on, I don't know. There's something about, like, your appearance and how you look to the world. And so maybe you've decided to, I don't know, get your root chakra or get your crown chakra out of your root chakra and financially merge with the co-parent of your children, therefore creating a routine that works and supports both the co-parent and the children. So I hope that's helpful, Capricorn rising. All right, Aquarius sun, Aquarius rising. This new moon in the 5th house, Jupiter and Uranus in the 4th house. Almost read that wrong. Venus, Mars in your 7th house, and of course Pluto's back in your 12th house. Uh-oh. Hang on a second. Aquarius. But the cord that I plugged into the laptop is not plugged in, so forgive me. Un momento. And now it's going to fight me. Trying to get it into a plug. My apologies for this delay. Okay. All right. That was going to break my heart if I lost battery and couldn't record this. Okay. So, new moon in your 5th house. So 5th house is creativity, inner child, communicating. Maybe it's communicating your inner childhood wounds. Maybe you've been facing your inner child wounds over the last few years with all of the activity in Gemini. Maybe you've been facing those wounds and you've been dealing with and doing a lot of healing work around those wounds in your 5th house. And so what can you bring to now your home and emotional intelligence? What can you bring around relationships? Maybe you've learned something about how you've been in relationships related to a childhood wound, an inner child wound. And so that's really popping up for you. And of course, 12th house karmic ending. So, you could be breaking a karmic cycle around relationships. Now you're stepping into more creative, fun, loving relationships with others. You're going to, of course, create a new home life with your Jupiter and Uranus in your 4th house in Taurus. A home life that is more valuable to you, more in line with your self-worth. And of course, you have 7th house in Leo, Venus and Mars. So relationships that are, more in alignment, that are more fun, that are more of the yin and yang, masculine and feminine, that sort of thing. And then, of course, Pluto in the 12th, karmic endings, karmic cycles. Again, maybe you've disrupted one. You've taken a jackhammer to your inner childhood wounds and really worked to comfort, communicate, have that inner dialogue with your inner child wounds. So big opportunities for Aquarius to change up their home life and have a whole new home life and relationship life and all that. I know many Aquarians, whether it's rising or sun, are very happy to see Pluto leave the 12th house. I'm an Aquarius sun, so yes. Of course, Pluto lands in my 3rd house because of Scorpio rising, but as an Aquarius sun, I'll relate. All right, that's what I got for you, Aquarius. And of course, Pisces, the fishies, the mermaids, the mermans. Okay, new moon in your 4th house of home, emotional intelligence, maternal. And then, of course, we have Jupiter and Uranus in your 3rd house, communication, neighbors, short distance travel. Venus and Mars in your 6th house for daily routines, health habits, work habits. And of course, Pluto back in your 11th house of communities, groups, technology. You've learned something about your home or your maternal instincts or your emotional intelligence or maybe it's even like emotional maturity. Maybe it is you have changed your relationship with your mother, your home situation. You've possibly transformed your home situation. And you've created a different way to have a community and neighbors, quote unquote, with your home situation. Happen to know a Pisces sun who's currently living van life. So her neighbors are changing all the time, but it's a matter now she gets to communicate and she gets to have all kinds of different communities and groups to connect and network with. Her work, obviously, her routines change because she, is on the road and all that. So, I mean, who knows what this could open up for you, Pisces? Maybe you are shifting to a maternal role, as in like, maybe it's a relationship with a child, with someone else's child as a maternal role. This might be foster parenting. This might be getting involved in a parent group as a support person, something like that. But whatever it is, it requires you to work on communication, short-term travel, expanding and amplifying that area. Of course, it requires you to be creative and fun, yin and yang with your daily routines, your work habits, and things like that. And of course, you are transforming your relationship with groups, communities, technology, and all of that. So that's Pisces. Okay. That is what I have for you for this Gemini new moon. I did have a technical difficulty, so if you sat through that for Aquarius, then I apologize. I thought I had it plugged in and I did not. So anyway, that was fun. Like I said before, if you want to get a written astrology report, there's a link below. You can schedule that through Calendly. And all of that. Of course, I am live every day for 2023 on Instagrams at Sarah Waggle, SARAWAGGLE. The Blind Nomad adventure begins on TikTok soon. I'm going to start working on how I want those videos to go there. And so all of that, I will try to put some of those on YouTube. We'll see how that goes. Because I do end up having to like post on each individual app, and that does get a little tiring after a while. So, and I want to make sure that the moon things and the tarot things land on YouTube. But that doesn't mean that you obviously won't hear about the Blind Nomad journey, because, well, I'll have different background. So first leg of that journey begins in early July. And then it's kind of a matter of when things play out in my current situation before I can move on to the next, because I really want to make sure I can get my mom settled into her new living situation too before I hit the road on my own. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. I'm so thankful for you guys for tuning in. Drop me a comment below if you have any questions. If you love this, I would love to hear what you're looking forward to for the next 6 months to the rest of this year. Well, I guess that would be the rest of this year, but over the next 6 months, I am personally wanting, I'm looking for some romance. I have been through quite the relationship transformation in the last couple of years, even with my friendships and friend groups that I've been a part of, that I'm no longer a part of for various reasons. Nobody's died, just those relationships needed to end. And so it was time for them to end. And now I'm ready for new relationships. So yeah, I'm looking forward to new relationships. And if there's romance along the way, that'd be phenomenal. But I'm feeling very confident in myself, and I haven't for the last several years with regards to romance. So that is fantastic for me. So I hope you are looking forward to something amazing with Venus and Leo, courageous, creativity, you know, expressing your beauty, expressing yourself, and things like that. So allow these energies to really to open you up and allow you to work with them. We got Venus here for till October, and we've got Jupiter and Taurus till next year. So we've got a lot of juicy, fun energy, especially if you're a fixed sign. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Sarah Waggle. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and at Sarah Waggle if you want to follow me on either of those platforms. And I'll talk to you on the next video. Bye.